YouTube channel? There it is. I was waiting on it. Anyway, okay. So I could share it out from YouTube. All right, y'all, what a weekend. LSU baseball sweeps Missouri. Y'all know I don't like to predict sweeps. Too many variables, as we saw. Needing a walk-off win in Game 2 and then darn near blowing it yesterday after having the big lead and allowing Missouri to put up a 3-spot. You give a 2-run homer in the first. You come back to score 5 unanswered. They make it 5-3. You lengthen it out 6-3. You add a run in the 7th. It's 7-3, and you're feeling really good. And man, your defense and your pitching unraveled in the 8th. Jordan Thompson had a tailor-made ground ball. He booted, kept the inning going. McManus, I know it's ruled a wild pitch, but let a ball, it got crossed up, just let a ball get to the backstop. You really don't know whose fault that is, but still catch the ball. Fondo walked in a run. So anyway, it got way hairier than it needed to be, but Riley Cooper came in and slammed the door. So LSU ends up getting the win. Josh Pearson with the 2-out RBI in the bottom of the 8th to give LSU a little more breathing room. Jacob Berry homered again. Braden Jobert homered again. That's a big takeaway is Braden Jobert, who has probably had more bad luck than anybody on the team. Hitting balls hard, but just like right at people. And I get it. A lot of that is hitting into the shift, and I've talked a lot about that. But eventually you keep hitting the ball hard, and you're going to be rewarded for it. So Jobert was this weekend, which was good to see. His average is back up to 282. Leading off, Pearson was 2 for 5, had a couple of RBI in the game. Cruz was 2 for 5. Just good to see. Good to see the offense kind of get going a little bit. Even on days where Doty goes 0 for 3 and Thompson's 0 for 4, like you can still put up 8 runs on 11 hits when you hit the way LSU does. So offense, we know, has to carry this team, and they continue to do so even when the defense isn't great. So Tigers sweep Missouri. They moved to 10-8 in SEC play. And now you got Georgia coming in, so it's a great opportunity with a really good Georgia team coming into the box this weekend. So hopefully the box will be packed out and loud and give LSU a great home field advantage. So Tigers get the sweep. Spring game was yesterday. Let me know your thoughts. I did watch the spring game after the baseball game. Thought Nussmeier played. I thought all the quarterbacks were pretty consistent. Brian Kelly said afterwards that if anything, they probably made the whole thing more complicated. I don't think they solved anything. John Emery looked good. Armani Goodwin looked good running the ball. Thought the defensive line really dominated early, which we kind of figured it would. Greg Penn flashed. You can kind of see why they like him a lot at linebacker. Jack Besh, it didn't matter who was quarterbacking. He was out there making plays. So, and the other thing is Jaden Daniels. The biggest takeaway is how dynamic he is running the football. And you couldn't really see that on display because every time he took off, they blow a whistle. I think the first play of the game, he would have busted a long run off the left side, but, they ruled him down. So I think that's definitely something worth watching. Anyway, okay, so let's see what y'all got. And then Suns, Pels, Game 4 tonight. 8:30, Pels have a chance to even the series going back to Phoenix. So, obviously it was disappointing seeing the. It was a disappointing loss in Game 3, but like we talked about, not altogether unexpected. But should be a great crowd tonight. Should be a great crowd tonight. Let's see if the Pels can draw even. Okay. Todd Harris, good morning. Brett Robertson, Quentin Brakebill, Ryan Amanda Guidry, Bob Poole, Michael Spazale. In town visiting, best place to buy bourbon these days. Calandros will have the biggest selection. So if you go to Calandros on Perkins, that'll be the best. They'll have the biggest selection. Brett, what did you think of the format of the spring game? As far as the scoring, I think it's stupid. I mean, to give the defense points is just dumb. Like the way that whatever. But I liked that. So you saw 1s-on-1s, 2s-on-2s, all that sort of stuff. I did like that format. I think you get a much better sense of your talent. So, Jaden Daniels went first with the first offense. And then we saw Nussmeier go second, but he was with the second offense. And then the first offense came back out on the field. We saw Brennan. And then the second offense came back on the field, and we saw Howard. And then they all sort of rotated from there. So you basically got to see Daniels and Brennan with the first team, and Nussmeier and Howard with the second team. Aaron Hornsby, Kelly Gross, Sunday Funday Scone family. Yes, indeed. Truax, what's good, man? Vernell Thomas, Charlie Cavell, David Tolson. The sweep was sweet. Still need to tighten up on the defense. Amazing. This is an ongoing issue. Well, I mean, David, I don't know how you expect it to improve, right? Like, I'll put it to you this way. Your outfield defense has solidified. Putting Pearson and Stevenson in the outfield, you've solidified your outfield defense. But I don't know what's going on there. There we go. So you solidified your outfield defense with Pearson and Stevenson. I don't know how you improve your infield defense without different players. So Jacob Berry is going to play third base. Like, that you don't have an option, right? Like, that's your guy at third because you need his bat in the lineup. And you say, well, DH him. Okay, what do you do with Braden Joubert? You don't want Braden Joubert in the lineup? So you're going to be an offensive team, so you take Joubert out of the lineup to DH Berry. And then who do you put at third? Merrifield, who has played some third this year, had his issues as well, was a second baseman in JUCO last year. You know what I mean? So, like, you don't... I guess the point is, I keep hearing this, why does he keep staying? Why does he play the same guys? Like, what option do you have? Like, you see it. I see it. Clearly, the coaches know that this is an issue. But they're looking at their talent every day, and they're trying to figure out the best ways to win games. And I think they realize that they're going to have an issue on the left side of the infield. I think Doty has been good at second base. Has been better. The issue is obviously on the left side of your infield. And at catcher. Well, when Milazzo comes back, he's going to catch. And that's fine. And that solidifies that spot, provided he comes back. I don't even know at this point. So the issue's on the left side of the infield. You're going to have Barry at third. So really the issue is Thompson at short. Do you feel like you have a better option to play shortstop? And I don't know. I don't know that you do. So, I mean, if they did, they'd play him. I mean, they played Doty at short. They put Cranford in there for a game, and he kicked a few around. I mean, I don't know the answer to this, but I've asked people. They don't believe Merrifield is a shortstop. So I don't know what option that you really have there. Patrick Cason, what's up? Samuel Merrifield, how do you think the last 12 games end up 6-6 or better? Would get 16 wins. Would 16 wins get us a home regional? I guess what you're asking. So 16-14. You're going to be scoreboard watching a little bit. You may need to make a run in Hoover if you go 16-14. I think 17-13 gets it done as far as hosting a regional, because I think if you win 17 games, your RPI will be high enough to get there, considering you still have 3 games against Georgia, 3 games against Vanderbilt. And look, I need to check what everybody did this weekend or has done this weekend, but You got Georgia this weekend. If you manage to take 2 from Georgia, I feel really good about it. If you take 2 from Georgia, that puts you at 12. Then you go on the road at Bama, which has played much better this year than most people anticipated. The fact that they're hovering around 500. If you manage to get two on the road there, puts you at 14. You got a home series against Ole Miss, which you should absolutely win. That would put you at 16. And then if you go on the road and take 1 from Vanderbilt, that puts you at 17. So I think that's probably maybe your best path forward. But the tricky part is trying to take 2 from Georgia this weekend, which is a really good team. So starts there. You get 2 from Georgia this weekend, then I feel pretty good about it. All right, Aaron Hornsby, strong side. What's good, man? Randall Offrecht, morning, Matt. Is Barry a senior? No, Barry is a sophomore, but he is draft eligible. So you will only get 1 season of Jacob Barry. Merrick Mathern, D. Good morning. Trivia, get ready for everybody. Professional observation of the quarterback situation. Well, I mean, everybody can have their opinion on it. I mean, I understand, but like, I mean, everybody can have an opinion on what they saw. Not that the coaches are oh, look, a squirrel's burrowing in the straw right there. That's interesting. Is he digging? There's a squirrel right outside my window, like digging in the pine straw. Or maybe he's hiding something. Maybe he's hiding his nut that he went and secured. Brandon, Ultimate Warrior. Murder Giraffe, what's up? Carl the Cat. Missouri was pesky versus Tennessee this year. Wouldn't go away. This team LSU should have swept. This team would be so good if it wasn't for Harris. Yeah, Missouri, listen, that was the book on Missouri. Missouri took a game from Arkansas. I mentioned the game 2 against Tennessee. They were leading all the way up to like the 7th. Tennessee had a grand slam, and they lost game 3 against Tennessee just 4-3. So Missouri has been their record is very bad, but they have been a tough out. Mac Daddy Dunk, good morning. Brett Dagro, good morning. Daniels is fast. Yes. Kyle Milliken, running backs look really good. Jay Ward is good. Yep, Jay Ward looked good at safety. Armani Goodman looks like he's put on some size, like some solid mass. Sort of felt like I remembered him being more slender. Good to see him get out there and run around a little bit. Brandon, hard to believe that we don't have another option at shortstop to replace Thompson beside Doty. Well, you will next year. RD, the mayonnaise kid. Let's go. Good offensive line play. Not as much separation between the corners and wide receivers. Man, I don't know that I could say good offensive line play. Especially early, the defensive line dominated. Especially early. But look, I don't want to put too much into it, and you're going to get Garrett Dellinger back, who really was a key guy that played all over for you last year, and you're not done in the transfer portal. You got 2 more spots, and I think they are going to fill them, and one very likely would be an offensive lineman. So, not atrocious, but I don't think we'd look at it and say that it was good. Riley Cooper is clutch. He is, man. And you know what's interesting about Cooper? Riley Cooper at the start of this year, y'all, I want to pull up his first couple of outings because he had a rough start to this season. Cooper did. And, I remember, having the conversation because T-Bob was all about him because he's got the long hair and, the kind of the bad body and all that sort of stuff. And so naturally that would be appealing to T-Bob. So we were talking about it on Scone and T. I was like, man, I know you want that guy to be good, but boy, it's been rough. Of course, I'm trying to get this thing to load now. Okay, here we go. So Riley Cooper has a 3.33 ERA. Sorry. Just bear with me here, please. Okay, here it is. All right. First outing against Maine, he threw 1 inning, struck out 3, allowed a hit. He pitched at Louisiana Tech, 2 innings, gave up 4 runs on 6 hits in his second outing. That was the game at Louisiana Tech. He pitched in midweek against UNO, steadied a bit, 2 1/3, allowed just 1 hit. Pitched against Oklahoma, did not record an out. He faced 1 batter, gave up a hit. Pitched against Baylor, allowed 3 runs on 3 hits, walked a guy. I mean, it was rough. And then he pitched against Bethune-Cookman, and Tulane gave up a run against Tulane in just a third of an inning. Like, it was rough, man. Started conference play. He pitched in all 3 games against A&M. In the first game, he allowed a run in 2/3 of an inning. Second game, he allowed 2 runs in just 1 inning. Also walked 2 guys. And then he went and pitched that Sunday against A&M. That was the game where they were about to get swept, and they started battering the baseball a bit, and then they had a big performance. And that's where Cooper turned it around, man. He went an inning and 2/3, and nobody reached against him. I mean, that's where he turned it around. And from that point, that game against A&M, he didn't allow a run again in his neck in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, until in 6 consecutive outings. It was his 7th outing from there that he finally allowed another run. Like, he's only allowed a run in 2 of his last 12 outings. I mean, y'all, it was rough early for Riley Cooper. I mean, he was not good. Like that game 3 against, I need to talk about this on AFR tomorrow. That game 3 against A&M is really where he turned it around. I want to talk to him and see, like, what was it at that point? What did he find at that point that got him in this groove? Shane O'Mac, good morning. Cliff Nelson, what's up? Let's see, Lacey looked banged up, still played the whole game. Yeah, so Kyron Lacey got hurt early in the game. Looked like he twisted his ankle, and he came off for a play and then was right back out there. So, a little surprised. It was like a Space Jam 2 scoring system. Brown Bear 765, Breakers taking on their South rivals Tampa Bay today. Go Breakers. Yeah, probably not going to be locked into that. D, Asky Rock today if she gets up. But Erica and Drew are still sleeping. So Drew had the week off from school. Drew and Erica both had the week off from school. And when Drew gets out of his routine, like, he gets confused, and it definitely affects him. It affects him sleeping. So, like, he hasn't really not slept much this week. So, he woke up last night at like 4:30. He woke up in the middle of the night. I was able to get him back to sleep pretty quickly. But so they're still sleeping though. So, if she's up, I'm sure she will, but I don't know if they're going to be up. Brett Dagro, can you see 8 of the final 12 to get into the conversation for? Can you see like winning? Okay, got it. Winning 8 of 12. No, because look, even if you win 8, you're at 18. SEC wins, and 18 and 12 isn't going to get you a national seed. I mean, 18 and 12 to be a national seed, you'd have to go win the SEC tournament and have an RPI in the top 10. And it's just, that's not going to happen. So no, I think national seed for this team is not realistic. And their RPI isn't going to reflect it. You know, when you have pre-conference series against Maine and Bethune-Cookman and stuff like that, You can play those and still end up with a top 20 RPI because, like we always talk about, like the SEC play. But that's why it's so important. Like your SEC win number has to be there. And it's just not going to be for this team. Just realistically, they're not going to get to 19 or 20 conference wins. Brant, Tennessee's on the brink of another sweep away from home. Makes you wonder if they can keep this up for an entire season. Hey, man, Brant, like Arkansas did it last year. Arkansas didn't lose a weekend. They were awesome last year, and they lost a home super regional NC State. It just happens. Good. David Coslin, Dane Bergeron. Hey, Dad. Good morning. Kelly Presley, Shelby Kelly. Must win for the Pels to make it tricky. Yep. Well, to make it tricky. It's never really a must win until, like, if you lose, your season's over. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see them get it to 6 games so you come back to New Orleans. So I think, obviously, your best bet is to win this one. Jared DeLucky, Mortimer, big time sweep of the Tigers. Hopefully they'll carry through next weekend. They need it next weekend. They need to play a clean weekend on the field against Georgia. And the other thing to keep in mind, that we'll have to keep in mind, is I'm trying to see if Jonathan Cannon has returned yet. So Jonathan Cannon is Georgia's Friday night guy. Okay, he pitched this weekend. Never mind. So Jonathan Cannon is Georgia's Friday night guy. He is a freaking stud, and he had been on the shelf for a few weeks there. But I was hoping he wouldn't be back in time for the LSU series because LSU struggled with aces, and he is a legit one, so he's back. So you're going to have to deal with Jonathan Cannon next week. Let's see. Brett Robertson, do you think teams should play other teams for spring games to have a new measure stick? It'll just never happen, Brett. I mean, for years we've talked about how to make a spring game more interesting. We've talked about that, and for injury purposes, it's just never going to happen. So, would it be more interesting? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just never going to happen. Bubba Tatum, morning sconers. Hungover as hell. Still full from far too many crawfish. Time to make some crawfish migas and tamales for breakfast. Okay. Orange juice helps as well with the hangover. Orange juice and Advil. Brant Roban, Doty, and Morgan are the only solid infield guys. Doty makes accurate throws, at least this weekend he did. Look, Doty struggled earlier this year, but yeah, I mean, it's not been a walk in the park, but it's been of late good enough. Samuel Merrifield, another important point you made about having more arms on the staff is important because LSU's bullpen is so strong and you won't tire out arms. Well, I guess what I've said consistently, Samuel, is it's the depth in the bullpen. Like, I remember in the Bertman era, Skip would want 6 arms. He'd go into Omaha really counting on 6 arms. This team is probably double that they'll actually use consistently. So, and you have to, because you don't have starters that you're counting on to extend. Like McHale giving you 7 innings on Friday was incredible. But then Blake Money, gets pulled in the 3rd. So you're counting on your bullpen to eat up a lot of innings. It's just a different way to do it. Charlie Cavell, McManus is starting to figure it out. Charlie, let me tell you this, man. Y'all forget this, but McManus was the leading hitter on the team the A&M weekend to open SEC play. He hit like 450 that weekend. So McManus can hit. I think people became enamored with Travinsky's homers, but McManus can homer too. Like, they thought McManus would come in, probably have a shot to DH and catch some and be a double-digit homer guy on this team. So that doesn't surprise me at all. He did peg a runner at second yesterday, which was great to see. But then I know they ruled it a wild pitch, but I guess I just still believe, like, if you're a catcher, you've got it. The ball is in the air and it's within your reach. You've got to catch the ball, and they did, and allowed runners to advance. And then ultimately, that was when the run came home on a sac fly. So Excuse me. I was in the 8th. Kenneth Westbrook. Craig Dugas, flock up balls. Louisiana's a basketball state now. Okay, Craig. Brant Roban, Stars. Must have aligned, Brant. Must have. You know, that's a pet peeve. Must have aligned. Our catcher threw a guy out stealing second. Yes. Daniel Laurent, good morning. Brett Robertson. I think this team will lean more on offense or defense if the season started tomorrow. Oh, it's on football. Yeah, good question, man. I don't think it's that cut and dried, actually. I think I came away feeling better about the linebackers than I did going in. Mainly because I thought Greg Penn looked really good. And I know Baskerville can play, and they seem to like Mike Jones. So depth is a question there, I think. But the starters I feel really good about, the first 3 guys. Defensive line I think is going to be really good. I think you have good safety play. I am worried about corners. And then offense, it's so tough because, like, if Jaden Daniels is your starter, like, he is going to make plays with his feet that none of the other guys can make. I mean, he is fast and twitchy and explosive, and that's a problem. That's going to be a problem for teams. But we just didn't get to see it yesterday, right? Ryan Amanda Guidry, hope our offensive line will be better off due to going against one of the better D-lines in the SEC. Yeah, I mean, that's a hope, for sure. Anthony Guglieluz, morning, Matt. Got to meet Mincy at the Zurich on Friday. Didn't know you were at 17 the whole day. Otherwise, I would have come say hello. All good, man. It would have been great to meet you. But, yeah, so we did the show from Zurich on Friday. It was a beautiful day. And I think yesterday had a good day as well. Hopefully they're blessed with good weather and finish off the tournament today. Michael Cook, good morning. Shelby Kelly, feel like Fontenot hasn't gotten nearly the amount of outings I thought he would at this point. Completely agree, Shelby. And I think a big part of that has been the emergence of Raiselman and Gervais at the end of the game. I think early in the season they were looking at Raiselman, Fontenot setup close. And Gervais has been so good in those leverage situations that they've gone Raiselman when they need a strikeout to sort of bridge to Gervais at the end of a game. And obviously Riley Cooper's been good in some of those spots as well. So it's created a spot where that role has kind of been occupied. So now you're like, well, what do you do? Like, I've suggested starting Fontenot. You know Fontenot can extend. Like, I would rather give Devin Fontenot the ball to start on game 3 and let Dutton come behind him. Especially if you're going to use Taylor like they did in game 2, which is a really good option. You know, to have Taylor Dutton as the next guy out of the bullpen games 2 and 3, I think is a solid option. But I agree. I do agree with you. Stephen Fry, tuning in. Matt, did you already share your thoughts on Thompson? In my opinion, he's becoming more of a liability than an asset. I mean, Stephen, yeah, we've been talking about it all year. At this point, like, you know it, I know it. Obviously, the coaches know he's struggling defensively. If they had a better option, they'd put a better option out there. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's just, if they had a... And then, flip side of it is, he made a beautiful play on a relay. And pegged a guy, at home. So, you know, I'm with you. Like, I get it. We all see the same thing. The guy's really struggling in the field. I mean, he had a tailor-made, Gervais made the pitch that he needed to, got a tailor-made ground ball in the 8th inning to Thompson. I mean, you will not get a rolling ground ball, and he booted it. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I get it. We all get it. Don't you think if Jay Johnson thought he had a better option that he'd play him? I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Matt, any insight on the 2 guys LSU could add in the portal within the next week? Yeah, so Kenneth, I don't know that it's necessarily within the next week. Remember, a lot of times after spring is when guys will jump into the portal. And I'll remind you, like, LSU added Joe Burrow in May. So they added Terrence Alexander, I think, when he transferred from Stanford, I think like in June. So it's not necessarily a given that it's going to be right now. I mean, it may be at the end of the semester, or like you may still have a while to go before they add their spots, but they're going to fill them. Eric Hart, crazy weekend of events in South Louisiana. Pell, Zurich, LSU baseball, spring game, French Quarter Fest. Need another weekend from this weekend to recover. Yeah, man, springtime down here's a lot of fun, isn't it, man? When the weather's awesome like this and you got so much going on. That was I talked to a lot of folks at Zurich on Friday. Like our DraftKings deal. DraftKings had sent several reps down, one from Boston, one from DC. When we talked to Brandon Fick, who's the chief underwriting officer for Zurich, like big dude at Zurich, who came on AFR on Friday. He's from Philadelphia. I mean, all these people that came down for Zurich, and they're in places where it's 40, 50, cold, still kind of not super nice. And you come down here and it's 80 degrees and relatively low humidity and sunny and gorgeous and windy, and it's awesome. Greg Phillips, what's going on? Need to send Thompson to visit Dr. Terrio for some shortstop. I think for Thompson, it's here. It's not physical. I mean, the guy, he played a good shortstop. He played a good shortstop last year. So, he's capable, man. I really think at this point it's between his ears. Ultimate Rory or Dugas ain't getting his job back. Dugas, yeah. So probably not actually. But the thing to keep in mind though is just like with in Game 2 of this weekend series, Mizzou threw a lefty. Well, Josh Stevenson. I don't know if y'all heard us talking about this, but like Josh Stevenson, this is why we talked about it yesterday morning, and I didn't know this, but they talked about it on the broadcast yesterday. Josh Stevenson has really struggled against left-handed pitching. He's hitting like 150 or something. He's like 200 points lower against left-handed pitching or something like that. So that's why I started Gio in Game 2. Gio is a little bit better against left-handed pitching. You still have a good option in left field defensively, a bat from the left side, but a guy that is a little bit better defensively. Well, Gavin Dugas is a righty. So in the event that you're facing a left-handed pitcher, if you don't want to run Stevenson out there, you start Dugas in left field and put another right-handed bat in the lineup. So I think like you'll probably see situations like that. Or if a team brings in a left-handed reliever and Stevenson's due up, you could pinch hit Gavin Dugas to put a right-handed bat in the lineup. And then later, if you want to put a left-hander in, if they bring another righty in, you could pinch hit Gio. And like it's just the way that they're going to handle this. I mean, it's Jay has told you this. Like they are going to have to overmanage every situation with this team, and I think they're doing a good job. Tommy Poole, good morning. Here's my crystal ball hot take: Miles to Nebraska, Nuss to start, and Jaden with the running packages. I disagree with all of that actually. If Miles Brennan leaves, it's probably going to be to somewhere like Southern Miss where he's guaranteed to start right away. And I don't think that that's going to happen. And that wouldn't happen until like later, maybe like early in fall camp. I mean, I've given the example a bunch, but that was Justin McMillan and Lowell Narcisse. They left in fall camp. McMillan went to Tulane and Narcisse went to, I think, JUCO for a year before going to UTSA. So I don't think Tommy, I kind of disagree with that, with all three of those. Eric Walderada, we're obviously pacing for a ton of bullpen innings pitched this year. Do you think Jay Johnson does anything to manage that, or do we not have that luxury? Manage like the innings pitched per arm? I mean, I think they're doing that. I mean, I don't think you're overworking guys when you look at pitch counts. Like you used Gervais 3 times, but he threw 12 pitches on Friday and came back and threw 20 on Saturday. And, yesterday he threw, let me see if I can find it. So then yesterday, load. And then yesterday he threw 16. So like all together on the weekend he threw 50 pitches. I mean, so he went out there 3 times, but he wasn't really taxed. Michael B, how about those running backs? Enjoyed watching them. Yeah, man. I think Kelly took some defensive tackles out after the first quarter. Our defensive tackles are animals. Biggest concern was the O-line. I mean, when we talk about it, it kind of sounds like the things we thought going in are the things we feel coming out. So let's see. Ultimate Warrior. I was on Coop Tail. He has improved a lot. Kelly's a good pitching coach. Greg Dugas, hot take. The young Marcus Randall ready to lead the Tigers to an undefeated season. We're going to shock the world. You heard it here first. Random LSU true diehard fan. I don't know what that means, Craig. Like, do they have another Marcus Randall on the team? Or are you talking about, like, 2002 Marcus Randall? Cliff Nelson passing to the running back out of the backfield was certainly a big part of the offense based on what they showed. They did throw a wheel route to Josh Williams that went for like 27 yards. Yes, that's true. And look, that's definitely something that Brian Kelly's offenses at Notre Dame did. Look, Kyron Williams from Notre Dame is a player I'd love the Saints to draft this year. I mean, he is a really good runner and pass catcher out of the backfield. Michael B wasn't O-line, just center. Admittedly, I didn't lock in on Charles Turner. Maybe I'll go back and watch some of it today. But that's definitely a spot where they could look to address in transfer portal. If there is a starting center somewhere out there, the other thing, remember, is they could move Garrett Dellinger inside. That's a possibility anyway. Or they could move Dellinger to guard and Tremont Shorts to center. So they have options. Billy Mathern, Morgan looks like he needs some midweek rest. But you know he's going to play at UNO right down the street from Brother Martin. Billy, a day off for Morgan might not be a bad thing. I guess it kind of depends on what they, I know he's got a PCL injury, but, will rest make it better? Don't know. It may be a thing where, hey, you're just going to have to deal with it through the season, so then why not play, I don't know. Tommy Poole, Charles Turner did not have a good day. Delly's still hurt. He'll be the starter. Yeah, the thing about Dellinger is we haven't seen him play center yet. So, it could be him. It could be Tremont Shorts. They could address it in the transfer portal. So, but I remember also, man, 2018, excuse me. 2018, this feels a lot like, Turner this year feels a lot like Lloyd Cushenberry in 2018. He'd been around for a while. It was like, all right, it's fine. It's your turn. Are you ready to take this job or not? And it did not look convincing in spring. The fall camp came around, and he won the job and started for 2 years and became a draft pick and started his rookie in the NFL, and it just clicked, And maybe that'll be the case for Charles Turner. Maybe. But they're going to have to work other guys there for sure. Let's see. Robert Cooley, morning, Matt. Do you think 18 and 12 would sneak them into the 8th spot? I do not. I'm talking about the national seed for LSU baseball. I do not think 18 and 12 would do it with this team. Ultimate Roarer, yes, sir. Definitely show Cooper some love on AFR. He deserves it. Shane O'Mac, what's up? Prediction for Pell's Suns. Wife and I will be in the blender. Okay, man. I'm going to pick the Suns. My feeling on this series before it started was I would love it if the Pels could steal one. And they've done that. The thing that I think we forget about the other night, and yes, Jackson Hayes got ejected, and I'm not saying that was inconsequential, but Phoenix shot 15% from three. 15. 1-5. They were 15% from three. On the road in a playoff game without Devin Booker, and they still won. I know people have said, like, well, look, they were 8-6 without Devin Booker this season. So they weren't very good without him. Andrew Lopez came on AFR on Friday and kind of clarified that. He's like, 3 of those games were at the end of the year where they were locked in, weren't really trying. So in some respects, I mean, you could say they were 8-6, really, maybe like 8-3, which is a much better look, right? So look, man, there's a reason that Phoenix is the best team in the NBA. I would love to see the Pels win tonight. I'd love to see them force a 6th game so it comes back to New Orleans. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but man, I would love to see them get this win tonight. James Metvin, good morning. Randall Offrank, man, I still can't believe NC State team got screwed out of a chance to play for a natty last season. I know, how about that? I just remember, oh God, I hadn't thought about that in a while. Tommy Poole took off work this Thursday and Friday so I can meet and enjoy you guys at Don Juan. All right, Tommy Poole, I love it, man. We got dudes taking off of work to come join us. Heck yeah. It'll be a good time, man. Cody Boudreaux, morning, Matt. FYI, I'm tired of these 9 p.m. tips. 8:30. Don't be 30 minutes late, Cody. 8:30 tonight, 8:30. Matt, we had somebody Carlin oyster ship to Texas this weekend. All right, E-Dub, very good. Hope you enjoyed them. Fonzarelli. Let's see, it sucked for our starting pitchers when the D can't help get them out of innings, make the pitchers look like they are struggling. I mean, yeah. David Durr, good morning. Trivia, I think school should have cupcake team. I think school should have cupcake team for spring. LSU versus Southern, FSU versus FAMU, Texas versus UTSA. But what does that solve for the opponent? Trivia, like, why would Southern want to come play LSU in the spring game? Like, that's still a practice for them. What good does it do Southern taking that step up in competition? You can say, well, money. Well, why would LSU, like, it's a free gate. It's free gate. Like, why would LSU pay Southern money to, you know what I mean? It's, anyway. Again, I agree. It would be way more interesting or entertaining, but, like, it just doesn't make sense logistically. Cody Boudreaux played Nichols. Dave Ender, has Drew Bianco fallen so far out of favor that he's not playing? He played shortstop in the past. Moved K to shortstop, Drew to second. Dave, I thought we had gotten to the point where we were done having this conversation. So I'll do it again for the benefit of Dave and those who are having a lot of trouble letting go of the idea of Drew Bianco playing. Okay. Just because Paul Maneri lined Drew Bianco up at shortstop one time does not mean he's a shortstop, because he is most definitely not. Drew Bianco is a utility player who probably is maybe a second baseman, and an average one at that, but really doesn't fit anywhere else on the field. The fact that he's played at shortstop and center field is more of an indictment on those teams putting him there. Again, I'm sure he works really hard, and I think he's a good energy guy around the team. From all I understand, he's kind of like the comedic relief, the goofball on the roster that everybody likes, and that's awesome. But he's never been a great defender anywhere on the field. And offensively, he is a career 192 hitter. For this season, Drew Bianco is hitting .063. Last year was his best year because he came on in the regional and he finished hitting .246. But as a freshman, he hit 176. As a sophomore, he hit 074. Then the 246 because he came on late. And he's hitting 063 this year. For his career, he has 75 strikeouts in 229 at-bats. So essentially, 1 out of every 3 at-bats, he strikes out. I don't like to diminish college players. Like, I don't like to talk bad about college players. Like, y'all know, I've talked about it long enough. Like, they're trying, they're amateurs, they're doing their best. Like, I don't think anyone's out there trying to do badly. But you've got to stop with the Drew Bianco conversation. You just got to. Like, he's a guy that could probably go be an everyday starting second baseman at UNO and bat, 5th in their lineup and probably have a really good career. If you're trying to tell me that Drew Bianco is your answer, that's a big problem. So please stop with that. Like, just stop. Stop. I would rather you put Collier Cranford at short because he's been a good glove. And you're going to get nothing offensively, but I know he's going to be a good glove. Or I feel like he'll be a good glove. Then again, they gave him a shot and he kicked 2 balls around in the one game they let him play. So you got to stop with that. Like, if the kid's name wasn't Bianco, you wouldn't be saying that. Anyway. All right, smash that like button if you're on YouTube. Do me a favor, just take a quick second, smash the like button. Facebook, please like the page, share the post. As always, remember, brought to you by Brock, the Manager Orthopedic Clinic, and Hudco Roofing. You need an orthopedist, you go to Brock. After Hours Clinic is open today. And of course, you need a roof, give us a shout, hudcoroofing.com, hudcoroofing.com. Let's see. Tony Williams, Brian Broom, Kenneth Kyle, Matt, any insight on the 2 guys LSU could add in the portal within... Oh, sorry, I answered that one already. Greg Phillips, Kenneth Kyle. I thought they had to sign by May 1st. Grad transfers can leave and be eligible whenever, if that's what you're thinking about. So I'd be looking more at grad transfers that would be eligible. LSU to not have another capable shortstop is quite discouraging. They got to go recruit, and they got a couple of really good ones in this class. Can you get them to campus? Tony Williams, I can see Brennan transferring. He will not want to burn his last season of eligibility holding the clipboard again. It could happen. Todd Harris, feel like the football win total will be mediocre at best. I do think the team will be solid, play hard. Look forward to an organized, disciplined team. Pretty sure they will actually get plays called this year compared to the disaster last year. Agree on all fronts. I'd love to see this team get to maybe 9-3. I think that's a ceiling for this team. More than likely, we're looking at, I think, 8-4, 7-5. Tony Williams, Fitzgerald West can play center as well. He did play center yesterday, and I don't think that I'm counting on a true freshman converted from defensive line to be my starting center. I hope not anyway. Mark, and the Pelicans upset the Suns tonight? Yeah, they can. They can. Sure they can. I mean, line's 2.5. Yeah, they can. Absolutely. I'm just not counting on it. Kenneth Kyle, Matt, what violations are you expected for basketball? I guess you mean like with penalties. I mean, I guess I'm just going to look at like what Oklahoma State got and the other teams that have already been punished in this investigation. I think... you're going to look at scholarship reductions and at least a 1-year postseason ban. I mean, I think that's your minimum. Good old country boy. Morning, Matt. Tigers' bullpen's been very good this year. Damn, they didn't look impressive yesterday. But that happens. I mean, it was really just the 8th inning. Sometimes you have bad days. Like, that's the tough part about trying to use 5, 6, 7 pitchers. If one guy doesn't hold the rope, then things can fall apart. But even still, I'll point out, I mean, we wouldn't be having that you wouldn't have that take if Thompson turns the double play. Gervais got exactly what he wanted. He got a rolling ground ball to the shortstop, which was tailor-made, and Thompson booted it, which kept the inning alive. Trivia, the crowd should say who when Mike Jones makes a tackle at Tiger Stadium. Hadn't heard that one yet. Super creative idea. Cody Boudreaux, let's see. If Nussmeier, talking about Bianco, if Nussmeier doesn't get the job this year, I think he'll transfer because he's a starter for a lot of teams, and next year will probably start the Walker Howard era. I don't know necessarily that I agree with that. And I don't have any inside information. I'm just telling people I've talked to. It seems like Nussmeier understands waiting another year could be a good thing because Brennan and Daniels will both be gone after 2022. So that opens the door for Nussmeier. Now, if Nussmeier didn't win the job next spring, then maybe you could see him leave. But I don't necessarily agree that he's leaving this year. Randall Offrecht. Matt, I've seen Judge playing and hitting homers. Did him and the Yankees finally come to a long-term deal? No, they did not. Judge said they wouldn't negotiate during the season, so they'll have to do it after the year. Not only did Arkansas lose the Super Regional home last year, but Nebraska took them to Game 7 in the weekend prior in their home regional. Don't crown Tennessee too quickly, folks. It's very true. Shoot, I remember, like, it might have been 07. One of those years where Vanderbilt was like the number 1 overall national seed at David Price. They lost their home regional. Eric Wilderod, interesting tidbit from Brian Kelly, an oppressor, that since he lives within a mile of campus, he can host unofficial visits. Had no clue that was a rule. That is interesting. I heard him say that in the press conference because he joked. He's like, we're having guys over tonight or whatever. I might have been shocked. She's like, so if you want to come, I said, no, you can't come. It's fine. Hey, Xander, what are your thoughts on the O-line? Don't think they played great, but it's a spring game. Yeah, I mean, that's a giant question mark. I don't think they're done there. I mean, you're going to get Dellinger back from injury, and you very likely will add another transfer. So I don't think it's the finished product just yet. David Bowden, Johnson needs a Friday and Saturday starter, or it's the same thing next year. David, they've got plenty of talent committed, man. It's just about getting these guys on campus. And by the way, I'll point out, like, I remember you'll have Blake Money back, and he is allowed to improve, right? I think Grant Taylor is absolutely a weekend arm. Like, he will be a starter for you. And don't forget about Javen Coleman. Like, Coleman will be back next year, and, he's a guy that throws low, mid-90s from the left side, and it probably would have been a starter this year, but for the injury. So, you got guys, and then you'll supplement with guys coming in. Murder Draft, did anyone else hear Brian Kelly get hot mic'd yesterday? I did not. Kyle Milliken had Jamarcus Russell had better coaching. He could have been a Heisman candidate. I mean, he kind of was a Heisman candidate. He was awesome. He gave him the first pick of the draft. Jimbo was his OC. I think more than anything, it was Jimbo and Les button heads on what to do offensively in 2 games in 06. Bailey C, say what you want about Jameis. I'd rather have him at his price than Dak at his. I'm good with that. Craig Dugas never should have fired. Stop it. I'm not going to read it out loud, but okay. He said never should have fired Edo. Should have gave the man a chance to build his program. His replacement's going to drive us into the Stone Age. Quote, also true LSU diehard fan. Keaton Berrien, let's go. Another 30 under the belt. Now they just need to put back. Another 30 under the belt. Now they need to put back-to-back. I think you probably mean 3-0, like a sweep. Yeah. No easy task, man, with Georgia coming in next week. especially with Jonathan Cannon coming back. But it would be huge if they can get that series win next week. Let's see. Oh, Craig, you started you started something with that comment, man. People didn't know you were joking. Jesse Post, what's up? Kenny Futch. Let's see. Good old country boy. Suns have more depth than the Pelicans, but the future looks bright. So I'm excited to see if Zion sees the future for the team. The other thing, too, and I completely agree. Zion, the Pelicans can offer Zion a max of $136 million. If I have that number right. I Googled it quickly, but I think that's right. Because they drafted him, they could offer him the max extension of $136 million. Do you really think Zion Williamson is going to turn down the opportunity to sign for $136 million, especially with his injury history? Bro, come on. Raymond, morning Matt from Knoxville. Nuss looked improved to me. Did, he looked good. Jesse Post, Mason Smith is an animal. Yes, he deflected a pass yesterday when it seemed like he wasn't even trying. Yes, he's going to be a problem for a lot of teams. Mark Lingle, have you heard anything about Texas backing out of coming to the SEC and being replaced by Kansas to bring up competition in SEC basketball? No, Mark, that's absolutely absurd. I don't know if you're serious. I hope not, because I'm trying to be polite. I'm just going to leave it at this. No, Texas is not backing out of coming into the SEC. And no, the SEC wouldn't add any school just for basketball, because basketball isn't a revenue generator like football is. The NCAA tournament is a massive revenue generator for the NCAA. And schools do get shares or units, as they call them, I believe, for each team that makes the tournament. But it pales in comparison to what TV contracts are for the leagues in football, which is the appeal of having Texas and Oklahoma. So, no, there is no chance that, like literally zero, that Texas would back out and the SEC is adding Kansas for basketball. Like, literally zero chance. I don't know where that started, if you made that up, if you heard, but whoever suggested that, you should point and laugh at them mockingly, because that's stupid. Let's see. Random question. Do you have to be a season ticket holder to sit in the indoor Skyline Club? I'm guessing you're talking about the Pelicans, right? Is that what you're talking about? Like, to have access to that? Or are you talking about like the, or is that the South Upper Deck? Because you can buy individual season tickets to be in the South Upper Deck but I think you're talking about the Stadium Club. But yeah, the Stadium Club seats, I think that's what you're talking about. The Stadium Club in the South Upper is, I think, what you're talking about. You can find like individual tickets on secondary market, but no, but like those are season ticket packages sold, yeah. Kickers look good, yeah. I noticed most of the time the ball was snapped with 15 plus seconds on the play clock. That was nice to see. If you're trying to move quickly, yes. Dave Ventura, on a good note, if Alabama, Texas A&M, and Auburn all lose today, we'll be tied for second place in the West. Long season, man. It's long. 30 games is a lot. Did we lose the Facebook feed? Oh, man, we lost Facebook. What happened there? I don't know why we lost Facebook. That's bizarro world. Sorry about that. Anyway, all right, I think we're done. My apologies. I know some of y'all were hoping to get ASCII Rock, namely D, but Smuts. But I think Drew might be stirring in there right now, but I think they're still sleeping. So, all right, y'all, I gotta go get the day started here. Gonna go to church for 11:30, and hope to have a great Sunday. Beautiful day. Y'all enjoy each other. Enjoy the weather. If you get into Zurich, go Pels. Let's get a win tonight. Reminder about Brock, Battersville Pizza Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Old Zuckerberg at it again. All right, y'all. Have a great day. What happened with Perry on the O-line? Thomas Perry? I don't know. Day transfer. It's just a guy that never really... I think he's still on the team. I got him listed on the team. Yeah, I still got him listed on the roster. So. Okay. Mark, that was being reported by several YouTube sports channels. Mark, I'll always suggest this, man. Consider, I say this all the time, consider the source, okay? Consider the source. Like, that report by YouTube sports channels, like, if something that significant involving realignment in college football, if you're not hearing it from Ross Dellinger, from Brett McMurphy, like from the guys who are the preeminent national college football reporters who cover the sport, who have every athletic director and conference commissioner and head coach saved into their phone, and like, if you're not hearing it from them, like, several YouTube sports channels is never going to scoop a major national college football reporter on something that significant, because the powers that be that are making those decisions are not going to talk to several YouTube sports channels. They're going to talk to the people they trust who cover the sport at the highest level. So anyway, always consider the source. All right. Y'all have an awesome day. Thanks for watching. We're 8 episodes away from 1,500. How about that? Crazy. Appreciate y'all for being here, man, every day. So cool to have done this for as long as we have. And who knows for how much longer. So keep on coming back. Appreciate y'all. Have an awesome day. Peace.